If God is beyond language, how could he possibly communicate? This question touches the very foundation of religious thought. Every faith tradition speaks of divine communicational relation, inspiration, prophesies. The same traditions insist that the divine is beyond sound, form, and linguistic category. How, then, can the infinite be heard by the finite? Modern neuroscience reveals that human understanding doesn't depend solely on words. The brain decodes meaning through pattern recognition, emotion, and embodied intuition, forms of cognition that operate beneath language. Meaning is not restricted to speech. The Sufi philosopher Ibn Arabi offered an even deeper explanation centuries ago. He argued that God communicates constantly, not through speech and time, but through the very structure of reality and the unfolding of consciousness. The real is forever speaking. We simply fail to recognize the medium. Modern life is saturated with words. Every moment brings a flood of text, notifications, and opinions. The human mind, once attuned to silence, is now conditioned to linguistic noise. Psychology describes this as semantic overload, a state in which the abundance of verbal stimuli diminishes comprehension. The more we hear, the less we understand. Constant exposure to surface-level language dulls the deeper faculty of perception that once made meaning intuitive. The default mode, network, generates continuous internal narration. When unregulated, it becomes a loop of commentary, analyzing, predicting, judging. This inner noise masks subtler perceptions, such as intuition or insight. Modern individuals often report feeling disconnected from guidance or higher intelligence. They search for signs but interpret them through bias or superstition. The problem, according to Ibn Arabi, is not that the divine is silent, but that we have confined communication to verbal and sensory channels. For him, divine speech never ceased. It simply shifted beyond the reach of untrained perception. To rediscover it, we must learn how communication operates in reality itself. Ibn Arabi, the Andalusian philosopher-mystic known as the greatest master, developed one of the most sophisticated models of consciousness in pre-modern thought in his works. He reframed revelation as an ongoing process, not a historical event. Divine speech, he argued, is the continuous self-disclosure of God through existence itself. Every form, event, and perception is a speech act of the divine, but only a purified intellect recognizes it as such. Perception is not passive observation, but the site where God perceives himself. Through creation, modern cognitive science parallels this view. Nonverbal cognition, intuition, pattern detection, affective resonances now recognized as a major component of meaning-making. Communication often happens through alignment, rhythm, and attunement. Ibn Arabi's teaching integrates both domains through 4 interlocking codes that bridge metaphysics, psychology, and perception. The universe is divine speech. Existence is language made visible. Every atom, law, and event articulates divine meaning. Nature is a living text, the word of God expressed in form rather than sound. Modern parallels appear in information theory, where the universe is described as a field of data. Biological life encodes information in DNA. Neural networks encode experience as patterns. Meaning emerges from structure, not sound. The word of God is not sound, but order, the grammar of existence itself. The divine speaks through law, design, and the symmetry of events. If the universe is divine speech, the human being is the receiver. Humanity is the ear of the cosmos, the faculty through which existence becomes self-aware. perception is filtered. The intellect becomes distorted by ego, desires, and fears, resulting in selective hearing. The brain predicts sensory input and updates its model based on discrepancies, perceiving what it expects to perceive. To hear divine communication, the mind must suspend assumptions, allowing awareness to detect new patterns. Insight or intuition often arrives not through reasoning, but through sudden knowing, a cognitive reconfiguration rather than deduction. Ibn Arabi viewed such moments as God speaking through awareness itself. Divine communication requires receptivity, not effort. The clearer the perception, the clearer the message, the imaginal realm. Al-Khayal is the intermediate world where meanings take form and forms reveal meaning. It is neither fantasy nor material. It bridges the visible and invisible. Dreams, synchronicities, and creative visions arise from this imaginal interface. They represent symbolic communication, translating abstract truths into perceptible form. Imagining a scene activates the same neural pathways as perceiving it. Active imagination, as Jung described, engages symbolic content as dialogue, often revealing verifiable insight. The imaginal realm is structured. Its symbols obey laws of correspondence. To the untrained mind, it appears chaotic. To the purified intellect, coherent. God speaks through symbols, archetypes, and synchronicities, not as metaphor, but as a genuine mode of communication operating through imagination. The heart is the true interpreter of divine speech. It has two eyes, reason and imagination. When both function together, perception becomes balanced. Reason identifies structure. Imagination perceives meaning. The heart is not emotion in the sentimental sense. It is an organ of cognition that synthesizes intellect and intuition. When purified, it resonates with truth, directly understanding through coherence rather than analysis. Studies of heart-brain coherence show that synchronization between physiological rhythms and emotions improves intuition, focus, and empathy. Interoceptive awareness links bodily sensitivity to accurate emotional and cognitive judgment. In Sufi psychology, this is called serene attunement. When the heart resonates with the real, understanding becomes immediate. Words translate meaning. Resonance transmits it. Divine communication is recognized by its coherence and inner clarity that unites thought, feeling, and action. If God doesn't speak in time, how does communication occur? Ibn Arabi's answer overturns duality. In divine reality, speaker, speech, and listener are one. Consciousness is a single field through which the real becomes aware of itself. When the mind imagines a God out there speaking to a human in here, misunderstanding arises. Revelation is not transmission but recognition, the unveiling of meaning already within consciousness. Observation actualizes potential states. Awareness collapses divine potential into intelligible form. Being itself is the language through which the divine speaks. God's communication is not an event among others. It is the ongoing intelligibility of existence. To hear it is to become aware of the process already occurring. Ibn Arabi's metaphysics can be practiced through inner listening. Silence as receptive, medium. Create intentional periods of silence daily. Silence enhances neurogenesis and pattern recognition. In Sufi practice, silence allows latent information to surface. Symbolic observation. Observe recurring patterns or coincidences, without premature interpretation. Every event is a letter from the real. Only the mindful read it. This trains the intellect to detect coherence rather than randomness, heart coherence and reflection. Reflective journaling, combined with slow breathing, aligns cognition and emotion, improving intuitive decision-making. The heart interprets through resonance, not reaction. Integrative awareness. Combine rational analysis with intuitive openness. When both eyes of the heart are active, perception becomes multidimensional, empirical, and contemplative. Reality becomes a dialogue, not a monologue. Hearing the divine is not about auditory miracles. It is about reorganizing consciousness to recognize meaning embedded in every perception. Divine communication never ceases, because it is identical with existence itself. Every atom, every moment, and every thought participates in this ongoing disclosure. Neuroscience, psychology, and information theory revealed that communication is multi-layered: linguistic, visual, emotional, and relational. Meaning emerges from interaction within a coherent field. God does not speak to you. God speaks as youth through perception, intuition, pattern, and awareness itself. To hear the divine, one need not amplify external noise, but quiet the internal one. When the mind stops interrupting the conversation, reality itself begins to speak in. What it says is everything.